Hey guys, this is Marc Goldberg with another exciting episode of Marc Vlogs Watches. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get right to the topic of this video. Yes, the meat and potatoes with the quick fist watch check. And here it is. Today, I am actually wearing the watch in question. A little bit loose, but doesn't she look beautiful? So this is the Yacht Master 116622 in blue. This is a 2015 model. I'm going to discuss my buying experience. Bought it from somebody you might know, and we're going to talk a little bit about this watch. I'm really excited to have it. Look how beautiful this is. Loose. A little loose. Okay, I got to do an adjustment, but I'm going to show you how to do that adjustment. In fact, let's talk about adjustments and fit real quick right now. So taking the watch off, I will make mention that although this is a watch that is good to 100 meters, much less than the depth rating on the Submariner, and although it has a turning bezel somewhat like the Submariner, it is not a dive watch, and therefore it does not have the glide lock clasp that you have on the Deep Sea and on the Submariner. Instead, it has the Easy Link system, which is a little, let me just unclick it right here. And you can see I've just opened it up, a half link, 5mm adjustment. Now I'm going to close it. It's just a little clicker under there that lets a little tiny bit 5mm out here. Even with that closed, it doesn't quite fit me correctly. Let's hope that the camera can pick it up. But inside the clasp there are three little locking points, three little dimples. And in fact, there is a spring bar right in here. So I can go ahead and move the spring bar in one or two positions, and ultimately I'm going to have to do that because if I take a link out, it's too small for me. How do I know? Well, I tried it. Okay guys, let's flip the watch around and talk about this watch, deal with specs and stuff. We'll do that inside. Let's get out of the wind. Guys, I decided we would be better off outside. I'm going to have to include a couple of still photos of this dial because right now it's reflecting as either black or let's say a deep royal blue. But when this is one of those dynamic watch dials that Rolex is so good at, and when you get it into the sunlight, it becomes alive and it's a sunburst blue. So we will take a look at that. In fact, why don't we do that now? Well, now that you've seen that, we can move into some more of the specs of the watch. Let's real quick talk about this dial or bezel, which I think is a really notable feature. First of all, the entire bezel mechanism itself is in platinum. The insert is in platinum, and the entire bezel itself is in solid platinum. And the rest of the watch is in 904L steel, brushed and polished surfaces as you see here. Now, although it is configured somewhat like a Submariner, the case is actually entirely different. This does not have that super case with the sheer straight edges that the Submariner has. It has a case that's quite similar to, if not identical to the Daytona. So when we take a look at the lug profile here, you'll see that it will wrap the wrist in a way that a Submariner won't. What that means is that this is a more refined watch. It's not nearly as brawny. It's definitely, I would say, more elegant looking, but it's certainly not dainty, particularly when we get into the weight. Now we're going to go ahead and do a bunch of specifications on this watch, but first I will tell you, it weighs out exactly the same as my Submariner. Even though both of them are 40mm, which I will show you, but the lug profile is substantially narrower here. So you would think it would weigh a bit less. However, the bezel on the Submariner is a combination of steel with a ceramic insert, whereas this is all platinum here. And platinum is significantly heavier than steel, so that pushes the weight of this watch up as configured here for my 7¼ inch wrist. Weighs out up at 148 grams. Now the bezel is done in relief, so these numbers are sticking up. They are high polished, and we have a bead blasted surface on the rest of the bezel. There are two other things that are really notable about this bezel. One is that it is not unidirectional. It is bidirectional. You can turn it in either way, unlike a Submariner, which only turns this way. That's because this is not a dive watch. You're supposed to wear this by the pool, on vacation, or typically, supposedly, on your yacht and to time regattas, and it wouldn't matter which way you turned it for that. Oh, Rolex, you're so silly. But also, to distinguish it further from the Submariner, they have not only made it bi-directional, but they have substantially changed the sound and feel of this bezel. The turning action is definitely much different than the Submariner. The Submariner is very crisp. This is more like mushy. Probably that's an unkind word. Maybe the better word would be creamy. Let me hold this up to the microphone and see if you can detect the sound. I'm not sure you would have even heard that. The feel is definitive. It does feel quality. There is no play. It does line up precisely. So that's all good. But if you are used to that real sharp click, that bubble wrap, popping bubble feel of the Rolex Submariner bezel, that's lacking here, guys. So don't be disappointed. Be aware of that beforehand. We have the typical Cyclops. And let's take a look at those specs now. So let's go ahead now and measure the width. We're looking at 40 and a half, 40.3. So let's call that a 40. And let's go ahead and do the lug to lug, precisely lug to lug, but then we'll talk about the bracelet. Sorry guys, taking me a second to line up here. 46.6 lug to lug, but notice that we have the protrusion here, and we have it on the other side of where the links stick over. So the wingspan of this watch actually should be measured with the bracelet here, and we'll see the entire protrusion of the watch reaches out to 50 and a half. And if I'm going to put it on the wrist for you right now, what you'll notice is that gives this more wrist presence than what you might otherwise expect from a 40 millimeter watch with somewhat delicate, skinny, narrow lugs. But look at that profile. This reminds me significantly of the Zaratsu polishing on the Seiko. Honestly, I know this is machine polished, whereas the Grand Seiko that I have reviewed prior is Zaratsu, which is hand polishing. I'm going to be honest with you guys, unless I'm blind, they look about the same to me. And we've got crown guards here also. Okay. The polished center links certainly are going to pick up some scratches as time goes on. That is inevitable, cannot be helped. So let's talk for just a quick second about the buying experience. We're going to turn the camera around so I can tell you all about what I paid, where I got it, and what's up with all that. Okay guys, here we are. You can see this on the wrist. Boy, it's an attractive watch. Now, as you can see behind me, it's quite a cloudy day here, so you are seeing this watch, looking like a deep, dark royal blue or even an inky black. Remember, you saw the dial in its spectacular sunniness. So what's nice is this watch is going to change according to the light that hits it. Now, how much did I pay for this watch, and where did I get it? I paid $9,000. It was full set, box and papers. This is a 2015 watch, so it's still got a year of factory warranty. These things are spec'd superlative chronometer, which means it's plus or minus 2. I've barely timed it, I just received it. So I later, tell you what, I'll make a review comparing this to other watches that I own, such as the Submariner, and then we'll talk more about its accuracy. But right now, let's imagine that it is within spec. $9,000 is really a rather good price. I have been looking at this watch for probably the last 4 years or so, and finally managed to decide to acquire one. So let's get these glasses off, because they're turning kind of funny color. Okay, great, we could see each other now. So where did I get this? I got it at CRM Jewelers, which is Eric Watch Your Style. I dealt with Jenny there and Carlos, the owner. So let me tell you something. All I know is I had a really terrific buying experience. Jenny helped me through this process completely. She fixed the price for me, and I received it next day air, so really my wire transfer just cleared yesterday. I don't own stock in this company. I'm not being paid. You know, I didn't receive massive discounts in return for a commercial. I just like to tell you people about my buying experience, especially because there's a guy on Instagram whose account I have always found interesting and enjoyable, to be honest with you. Rolex Enforcer, I like you, but I don't know why you've got this against CRM Jewelers. All I can tell you is my buying experience was delightful. It was perfect. Again, no consideration has been paid. I'm just telling you about my experience. I never talked to Eric, although I like his channel quite a bit. I dealt with Jenny, and Jenny's boss is Carlos, who owns CRM Jewelers in Miami. Anyway, so you might take a look. What I find impressive about that place, by the way, is they seem to have a whole lot of inventory. Some is their stock. This was right out of their own stock, Jenny told me, but they also sell watches on consignment. So if you want to sell a watch, maybe talk to them. Well, guys, let me just say this fits into my collection right along with my Submariner. When would I wear it? Well, like for example, I'm going to go to a conference tomorrow for a few days, a dog trainer conference. And, you know, I might want to dress a little fancier than my Sub, and I think this fills the bill. It's still a sports watch. Still got some rugged, manly aspect to it. You know, it's not like a jingly jangly Datejust with a Jubilee bracelet. It's still a manly sports watch, but it's a little flashier than a Submariner. So maybe I would wear it to an occasion like that, and in fact I'm sure I will. Guys, I will be telling you lots more about this watch and how it compares to the other watches in my collection. For the moment, I just want to thank you for joining me, for sitting through this video. If you made it this far, if you have subscribed to my channel, thanks for doing it. And if you haven't, hey guys, do it now. It's completely free, and that way we can do this again. Guys, thanks for being with me. Goldberg, peace out.